great beat.
It's a great beat. Yeah, it is. It is. It's a great bop. It's a sea shanty.
Oh yeah, we could have played one of those. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Question Block, Secret Loft's live weekly podcast. I'm Wires of NYC, or Alex, one of the co-owners of Secret Loft. This week I'm Captain Alex, and with me is my co-host.
Ariel Iasevoli, a live mermaid.
This week a live mermaid.
Yes.
You're going under the sea instead of up in the air.
I'm in the air, but I'm upside down.
Got it. Oh, yeah. Nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we previously did an episode on pirates, which really was about, the pillagers on the sea. It was about sea criminals.
Yeah, it was the surface. We were just the surface of the water.
But now we're going beneath the waves.
We can talk about the ocean.
We're going to talk about the ocean. We're talking about the sea, like where it came from, what's in it, what's it all about. So let's take a deep dive. Dive into the ocean.
Let's get to the bottom of this.
I need more water sound effects. We'll add them in post.
Yeah. Just pour your drink. Yep.
That's ocean. That's fresh salt water.
It's ocean.
Yeah.
Well, so what is the difference between an ocean and a sea? Do you know that?
I mean, I know seas are smaller, but I think there's just like 3 oceans or 4 oceans, and there's like 7 seas. And like generally oceans are very big.
Okay.
Whereas the sea is like more contained, but they're just sort of navigational terms, right?
No, a sea is land, like is bound by land, and you're correct. Actually, there's only one ocean, because now they're saying that all the quote unquote oceans are connected, but there's like segments of the ocean.
Yeah, the ocean is all connected. It's all the
but it's like they don't say like killer whales anymore. They
don't say ocean anymore.
They don't say they just say the ocean. That's like the PC term.
I'm pretty sure there are oceans, or there are seas connected or part of oceans.
Seas are different than oceans, because seas are like talked about like by land, and there's I'll get the numbers up for you in a moment. Okay.
There's more than 7 of them.
Yeah, it's like what was originally referred to as like the 7 seas is like kind of what there's like the Atlantic, Pacific.
No, those are oceans.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like the Red Sea. The Dead Sea is landlocked, I know. And there's a bunch of dead stuff in it. But like the Red Sea is connected to...
Okay, there's 5 oceans.
The rest of the water. Yeah. Atlantic, Pacific, Arctic, Indian, and then what?
South, which is like the Antarctic.
Around Antarctica has its own... Okay.
The Southern Ocean is like a misnomer.
Like the China Sea, for example, or the Yellow Sea, I don't know if they're saying that's a racist term, is just part of the Pacific Ocean. It's just like the area between...
Okay, so there's the Sargasso Sea. Sargasso Sea.
Named after the seaweed that resides in that sea.
Oh, yeah. Which is like off the coast of North America.
It's just east of here, yeah.
Yeah, the Caribbean Sea.
Yeah, those are part of the Atlantic Ocean.
The Black Sea, the Red Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Caspian Sea. And then there's,
Yeah, and they don't list there's some smaller seas that they don't list on that map of yours.
The oceans are the largest areas of water in the world. There's 5 oceans separated by the continents. Each ocean has its range of temperatures and flow of currents. Smaller areas of water close to land are called seas.
So it's like, I think more like a nautical navigational term. Because like during the age of sail, when you had took your boat out, you'd be like in a sea, going around or whatever, and you needed to call it something.
Who was considered the first oceanographer?
The first What's an oceanographer?
Like, or ocean explorer.
Someone who maps the ocean?
first, like, ocean person, basically.
I mean, you go all the way back to, like, Polynesians and, like, pre-humans had boats, even that they were, like, sailing around and, like, going surprisingly far, right? Settling, like, Easter Island and, like, the Hawaiian Islands.
Aristotle is the answer that I was
Aristotle,
looking for.
Oh, the first Western oceanographer. He drew maps, you're saying.
He was the first marine biologist. He actually discovered that fish breathe using gills. Yeah. And he
I think he just wrote it. Come on, anybody knows that.
Oh, the Aristotle?
Well, no, when you, like, if you pull a fish out of water, you see it, like, breathing through its gills.
But no, people were just like, I'm going to eat this. Like, they didn't think, he was like, let me think about it.
Oh, okay.
But what if he was like, let me think about this fish before I eat it? He was
enough.
Australian. I don't... Okay, so you want to tell us about the evolution and, like, the timeline of ocean life? Because didn't we all come from the sea? Wasn't the earth all just, like, one ball of water?
At various times. It depends when you're checking in.
So the beginning of time.
A cool part about geologic history, as with all history, is it's actually super dynamic. And don't take this as like an anti-global warming argument, but we'll go through it. Just like the percentage of oxygen, the composition of the oceans, all this stuff has changed rapidly throughout like geologic history.
Okay, so tell me about the first ocean.
The first ocean. When did water get to Earth, basically?
Yeah.
In a form, right? So we'll do the timeline. I'll try to keep the numbers down. But the larger picture, Earth is 4.5 billion years old.
Okay.
That's when it formed. And in the first 500 million years, they call it the Hadean because it was like Hades. Because it was like hot AF, constant like asteroids and meteor strikes. At some point, Earth got hit by something else, and that's how the moon formed. That was probably pretty crazy.
Oh my God.
So yeah, volcanoes, explosions, everything. So
metal.
No water because it was over 100 degrees Celsius. It was
so
hot.
All the water would have evaporated?
Well, yeah, but so like Earth still had gravity at that point, so it didn't escape the atmosphere, but it was like in the form of water vapor or steam.
Okay, I can't. All right, so
eventually,
after that, it's real hot, no
Earth
water.
cools down and it just starts to rain, and it rains for hundreds of years as all this like saturated water vapor cools and condenses. So it rains for hundreds of years, and the oceans fill up.
Okay.
And then also...
Wait, what were... So they were just, like, crevices and stuff?
Yeah, it was just this kind of giant rocky ball with no water.
Because when you said they fill up, like, it was just, like, crevices.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, like, hills and valleys
reverse
and
mountains.
Trenches and whatever else. And, like, reverse mountains. Yeah.
Okay, so that fills up. Okay.
Grand canyons.
Okay, so it rains, the things fill up.
It doesn't just come from water vapor that's in the atmosphere, though. Also, like, the interior of the Earth is outgassing. It's cooling down, too.
Okay.
And this still happens today. Water still does come from the interior of the planet out into, like, the oceans.
Let's dig for it. Let's mine for... Are we, like, mining... Instead of mining for oil, are we, like, let's mine for water?
Well, that's what a well is.
Okay.
I don't think groundwater is not outgassing
different.
water. That's from water that collects. But whatever. There's lots of water. It got there, basically. So that's about 4 billion years ago. And then the very cool thing that happens is life forms almost immediately after that. They've now traced life back. They think it started on Earth about 4 billion, maybe even 4.25 billion years ago.
It's just in the water, on the land, too?
Just in the water.
Okay.
And so
it's like water world.
But thereafter, not too long after, on land. But like little single-celled organisms and stuff.
Okay.
Not cool stuff. But
what about the megalodon? What about that shark? Shark one.
So shark didn't come around until like the like mid-Cambrian, which is about 3 billion years later.
Woo! Okay, so there's all the organisms and stuff like that.
So all these organisms form, and so then like the Hadean ends, you're in the what's called the Archean, like arch, EAN, and that lasts about 1 billion years, and like mostly like there's very little oxygen content, so there's a lot of like bacteria, but like they can't really do photosynthesis because they don't have oxygen, so they're called cyanobacteria. Okay. And they're very boring, and they just form giant mats on the surface of the ocean, and the world is very boring.
Gross.
And then Sometime after that, you get into the Proterozoic, which is the next geological time span, and that's when oxygen concentration starts increasing. And then at some point in the Proterozoic is like life starts getting more complex. You start getting stuff that looks a little bit like plants. You get
Okay, but what about the
multicell
water?
bacteria.
So water's just like being water at this time, the oceans.
The water's still being water, and then you get into what's called the boring billion, and there's like a billion years where like nothing
Okay, but water,
changes.
oceans.
So where it only really gets interesting is this is like about a billion years ago, 800 million years ago. There's a massive ice age, and the entire Earth freezes.
Okay, and then it melts, and then there's more water.
Yeah, I mean the water is
Okay.
just solid form, but like
Cool.
what's now like the equator tropical seas were filled with icebergs. About 800 billion years ago. After that period ended, the 500 million years ago, the Cambrian explosion, and then you
Right.
get shellfish, and you get the first like interesting animals that actually walk and crawl and swim.
Okay.
So those all came around just 500 million years ago. So that's when you have like shellfish. So if
And
you
the
were
shark.
to time travel back to then, yeah, and so 100 million years or so into that, you get a shark. You start getting sharks in the Cambrian era. And then they get replaced by other animals during the age of the dinosaurs, which we talked about in a previous episode.
Oh, we have yet to publish that one. Yeah, we do have a dinosaur episode. It's
And
good.
yeah, and then there's all sorts of, it's kind of like Fantasia. You've got all the cool animals swimming around the ocean.
Okay.
And the Earth then is like, it's, I guess, not too different from now, that there's a decent concentration of oxygen in the atmosphere. Animals are on land, they're on sea, they're swimming around.
Why is the sea
doing their
salty?
thing. Why is the sea salty? Where does it come from?
Because there's lots of different minerals and stuff in it, and that's like
There's a lot of salt in it.
yeah. There's like so, but like you said, it comes from like the earth, like under the earth. So there's a lot of like ions floating around in it, and it's not. I mean, okay, here's the thing. It's basically the answer is like it's not just salty. That's just the only like mineral that you can taste. Just like our New York City tap water has like a lot of minerals in it too. Sodium is not one of them. But that's why you can drink fresh water, I guess, or like groundwater, and you can't drink
You can't drink
seawater
seawater
because there's too much salt in it. Yeah, you can die.
Yeah. Did you know, because so saltwater conducts, like it is a weak conductor, right? Whereas freshwater is not. So the oceans actually mess with the Earth's magnetic fields.
Oh, I did know that because when we get into like the creature friend portion, sharks have like a magnet in their head.
magnet.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's salinity.
it's the
Yeah,
salinity.
it's true. Our blood is salty.
Yeah,
It has a bunch of ions.
and here's something that I never like thought of. A lot of the animals in the ocean that like they breathe water, they actually breathe air. They're just getting it out of the water.
Yeah, they're still extracting oxygen.
And we kind of do the same thing because our lungs are wet, but we just do it, in reverse, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, one more science corner thing, right, is that in the early Earth that I just kind of sped through, in the, like, Archean time, like, geologic time period, is that because there was way less oxygen on Earth, the whole, like, what they call the planetary fuel cell or planetary fuel cycle was totally different. It was very low energy. And, like, there wasn't, without oxygen, you can't have animals that breathe and respirate and are, like, moving around.
So you have
That's,
like a lot of
high-energy thing.
jellyfish.
Yeah, or just mats of algae, basically. Just like slime molds.
Yeah.
And so, as part of, like, the geologic evolution of the Earth, a huge amount of basically, like, carbon that's, like, it's reduced is what it's called. Reduced carbon is now trapped in the Earth in the form of oil and fossil fuels and whatever else. And we have a very oxygen-rich atmosphere. And everything that animals do now to let them move around is basically like we oxidize food. We eat carbohydrates, we oxidize them, produce energy.
Okay.
And then humans figured out you can do that by burning fossil fuels.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. Sorry.
we're getting tangenty. Although fossil, yeah, I'm like, that's bad for the sea, for the ocean.
It is bad for the ocean.
Okay. So
now we're now we're gonna stick into more recent modern oceans, right? Once we had sharks, we have other exciting
I'm
sea
talking about like the
creatures.
old, like that. I think it's called the megalodon. It was like the shark's ancestor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one that I was like, when?
When was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So right, that was like early Cretaceous period.
Yeah.
Is when all that stuff happened. It was pre-Jurassic.
Yeah, and then.
So yeah, you had giant animals swimming around in the ocean.
Okay, here you go. I have the different zones.
So you're gonna tell us where the animals live,
If you want to go
fish
see the
live.
dolphin or the different kinds of animals that live. You can say the animals. So there's the.
So these are all modern day sea creatures.
Yeah, I mean some of them are ancient too because they've just been around forever. But
Okay.
yeah, there's the epipelagic, which is 0 to 400 meters.
So you're gonna take us on a
deep.
dive now.
Yes.
Below the
So
surface of the
Anne,
ocean.
shout out to Anne. She's she's gone on over 200 dives.
Mm-hmm.
So this would not be. She's like not interested in this zone. This is probably the zone that I would want to hang out in because
Well, no, epipelagic is 0 to 400 meters.
Yeah,
so-
that's where all the all the cool.
Anne's going to like 30
Right,
meters.
she is. I'm saying this is where I would want to hang out at
Okay.
this level. I'm like a surface, very shallow.
Well, everyone. I don't think humans even really go below 400 meters without a submarine.
I mean, and tell us in the comments how deep you dove.
She goes 30 meters. That's the limit.
Okay, well, she'll be the one to tell us.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so at this level, there's starfish, there's epipelagic fish, which are like, they're kind of like, I guess like I'm trying to think of trout, ocean fish, bass.
Any river fish that you know? Salmon?
Yeah,
Like
but that's,
everything.
I mean,
Like,
but okay,
most
salmon
fish.
are interesting because they're like both freshwater and saltwater.
Yes.
I was trying to think of
They
ocean
breed
fish.
in the freshwater. They have to swim upstream.
Yeah. I was trying to think of just ocean fish. Then there's dolphins and porpoises. There's whales. Then you get to the bathypelagic, which is 1,000 to 4,000 meters or like a mile down. And that's where there's sharks. Like sharks, they do both levels, but they kind of like sleep down there, I think. Squid, the bathypelagic octopus. There's sea cucumbers. There's amphipods. Then we keep going down. This is a very
this
big
is most
zone.
things that you've seen were in the.
Yeah, what is it? The abyssal birozonian, which is like some sort of sea vegetable.
So the stuff starts looking weirder down here. In the
Yeah.
hypopelagic, you're getting jellyfish and like weird looking fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't say the methopelagic. Sorry, that's like
Above
the
there.
mesiopelagic. That's above it.
Do you have like don't they have like cool like street names for the ocean zones? Isn't there like the Twilight Zone?
There is.
And
I have it on a piece of paper. Can I grab my paper?
Yeah, get your notes.
You can say the not street names. The other two.
Okay, so you probably know these terms from other stuff though, right? So like
Really?
epipelagic is like epidermis is the surface,
Yeah.
right? Mesopelagic, meso means middle, is like the middle area. Bathypelagic, you know about bathyspheres.
Oh, it's like
which
you
is a
know
name
about
for-
bathtubs.
Or bathtubs. It's a name, I guess it's the Roman or Latin root for like deep. And then the abyssopelagic, which is like the abyss. So that's like you down there. That's where hydrothermal vents are. And you got your deep sea octopus. your deep sea coral, and then below that is the hadal pelagic, which I don't even know what's going on down there. I mean, you're 4 miles deep at that point. It's crazy. And that's where you've got the Greenland shark, which is like the deepest diving shark.
The deepest diving shark.
But there's like deep sea worms and all the giant tube worms, the stuff that lives around the hydrothermal vents, in the middle of like the Pacific Ocean.
Okay, so there's the first one is the sunlight zone. Okay. The sunlight zone, that's like the top.
That's the street name of that.
Yeah.
The sunlight zone.
Sunlight zone.
It sounds like a Super Mario Brothers level.
Then there's the twilight zone.
I knew it.
Is that what you wanted me to say? The mesopelagic zone.
Mesopelagic is the twilight
zone. Or the
Imagine
mid-water.
a world.
Then there's imagine.
There's not very much
Imagine
light.
a world.
And
there's still
kind of weird looking fish swimming around.
Yeah, it says that
it might go a little something like this. The midwater zone. Okay.
The viper fish is one type of fish that lives in there. And it has teeth that don't fit in its mouth. That doesn't make any sense, but okay.
Well, it has like an overbite.
Okay, I was like, they're just like on the floor.
No, it looks like it's got probably the big underbite of like an eel or whatever.
So then the bathypelagic is the midnight zone.
Yeah. Welcome to the midnight zone.
The midnight zone.
Cool name for a radio show.
And then...
So bathypelagic is not that deep. It's a mile down. Granted, that's like farther down, like in depth than like any building, but it's not deeper than like some of the tallest mountains. Light doesn't even reach there.
Then there's the abyss.
So below a mile, it's just pitch black in the ocean anyway.
The abyssal zone.
Yeah.
It lies in perpetual darkness. And its Greek-based name means bottomless. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got trenches. Then there's like
the
Mariana Trench and other
Everyone wants to talk about that trench.
Trenches. Yeah, because they're the most extreme zones, right? As they say, like more people have been to the moon than have been to the Marianas Trench.
Yeah, Anne says that she's been usually 200 feet, and she's done 110 feet with air.
Yeah, so it depends what they put in your scuba tank, how deep you can go.
What they put in there, you'll find out when you get down there.
Right, if you get if it's surface air that's just compressed, which is like the standard mix of nitrogen oxygen, that's like, I think 110 feet. And then if they have to actually change the mix of nitrogen versus oxygen because of the effect on your lungs of like the higher pressure when you're like below that level. So it's called nitrox, but it's like surface air. It's a mix of nitrogen and oxygen, but they change the percentage of oxygen so that you don't get super high because the high pressure forces like the mix into your lungs.
Oh,
wow. So you can get pretty deep, and people can free dive. The key is this is all, we're talking about scuba diving, but people have the free dive limit is like 400 feet of someone just holding their breath and diving.
No. Oh.
Yeah, there's records both. You can do it with a weight, where you get like a sled, basically like a very heavy sled that just pulls you down, or you can do it free, just like swimming.
Oh yeah, that was like one of the Olympic sports, right? The breath holding.
I don't think that's an Olympic sport.
It was one of the ancient ones, like not ancient, but mid. Remember, like fat people.
Oh yeah,
fat people were really good at it.
That was an early Olympic sport. Yeah. That's right. But yeah, they're like free diving is like, I guess it is competitive. It's just people setting records, but they like routinely die. Like the best free divers in the world, because like if you pass out, it's just like whatever.
It's whatever.
I mean, you're not making it back to the surface before you drown. You're 400 feet deep or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So should we talk about the history of like marine biology, or like the famous like marine?
Yeah. Let's hear about the marine biologists.
Well, he's talked about Aristotle, right?
Yeah, so he was sort of our first, like, drawing maps of the ocean. And then...
And like, looking at his food before he ate it.
And as we talked about with the pirates episode, like, right, for right, every early civilization is on some body of water, and a bunch of them are by the sea. And then once you had international travel, it's by boat. So, like, sailing and navigating via the ocean is, like, super important. And that's where, like, the concept of sea monsters or mermaids come from.
It's so funny because all these people were, like, really bad up until, I think... Oh, and they're all named James or Jacques. They're, like, Jacques... Their names are literally, like, all James, which
Darwin
is so funny.
was fine. James Cook was a real asshole.
James Cook was bad. He also had, like, a very weird death, I think, like, in Hawaii. Like, it's, like, the most debated. Do you know about this?
I've been to there's, like, a beach named after
tell
him
us.
in Hawaii,
Yeah.
and I've seen the plaque. But, like, the plaque, it's not woke, but the plaque is, like, pretty ambivalent. It's like James Cook was here. Sorry. James Cook.
Everyone makes that. I've literally
Captain
heard,
Cook.
like, so many. Yeah.
It's like James Cook was here. He did interact with the Hawaiian, like, natives with, like, but, like, yeah, like, immediately, I think he traded peacefully with them, but, like, and the Hawaiians were, like, very good hosts, and then he was like, yo, British, we should go, like, take over those islands.
Yeah, his death, I think, is one of the most... It's, like... That's, like, the most famous part of him, though, is that it's very, like, people don't really know what happened, that he did, like, meet someone important, and that, like, an important Hawaiian, like, chief or something, and then he died a couple days later, and they're like, wait, what happened? What did he do?
I thought the idea was that, like, multiple times he and his crew would, like, because sailing around the Pacific is, like, crazy back at that time period, because you could just be marooned for months, right?
Do you know that Magellan called it the Pacific because he thought it was pretty calm?
He had a good trip, I guess. Yeah, it worked out for him.
Although he died on the mission that or trip or whatever that he said, oh, it's very peaceful. He actually died on that.
On his voyage, yeah. It was killed by some aboriginals in, like, Indonesia.
Yeah, probably because he was being stupid.
Yeah, or I mean, sometimes you encounter a native tribe and they're not happy to see you. With Cook, though, the story is that multiple times he would, like, make his way back to Hawaii while, like, exploring around the Pacific and be, like, on the brink of starvation. Like, his men were, like, dying, and the Hawaiians would, like, take care of them and, like, give them food.
They were
and,
like, aloha.
Yeah, they were like super hospitable and would take them in and, like, nurse them back to health or whatever. And then
with a pineapple.
Yeah, and Cook would be like, wow, these dumb savages gave, like, just, like, kind of a jerk about it.
And then they killed him. Then there was, like, another time he came there and they were like, aloha, I mean goodbye.
I think there eventually was a falling out where he may have tried to kidnap some Hawaiians to, like, be part of his crew or something like that. Like, it wasn't it was not due to hostility on the part of the Hawaiians.
They were like, you don't know, like, that we have the
super
world's #1 naval base here. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
They're like, we have Honolulu. How dare you?
Yeah. So, but yeah, Cook did explore and map a bunch of stuff in the Pacific. He was a British Navy officer.
Oh yeah, Columbus. Obviously, Columbus.
And I think Cook. Yeah, Cook was Cook. What was he the first to travel around South America?
I think so.
Maybe.
I think so.
Okay, and then Darwin went on the voyage of the HMS Beagle.
And he studied coral reefs. And turtles.
Yeah, in the Galapagos.
Yeah. I think that he studied turtles.
He did study
Don't
turtles.
sleep on the turtle.
Yeah. We'll come back to Darwin when we talk about whales.
Yes.
And
then
he's a major whale theorist.
Then these people stop being, like, mean. And there's
what about the Earl of Sandwich is in there.
There's Charles Thompson, and he was, like, good. He was, like, a good one, and he did the Challenger missions, and he basically lived, like, his whole life at sea.
The HMS Challenger. Yeah. So like, right, Cook is in, I think, the early 1800s, Thompson's in the late 1800s, and, like, the mid to late 1800s is like the peak of the whaling industry too. I guess the mid 1800s peak of the whaling industry, which is when Moby Dick was written.
Moby Dick was based on a real whale, I think, called like
Yes.
I forget what his first name was, but I think his last name was Dick. They were like,
So Dick is like a shorthand for just like, I think, a fish.
really?
Yeah. So Moby is the fish's name, but Moby Dick is just like Moby the whale. It's sort of like shorthand for that.
Okay, that's crazy. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we have Jacques Cousteau, right, in 1910, and he broke both of his arms, so he couldn't be a champ. He wanted to be a naval.
Cousteau was born in 1910.
Yeah,
but yeah, a lot of his famous documentaries and
he wanted to be a naval officer, but he couldn't because his arms were broken. But he was like, I can be a science nerd. And he made the first aqualung and the first diving saucer. And at that time, they weren't called diver. They were called like, what is it? It's like astronaut, but it was like marine anaut or
aquanaut?
Something. Aquanaut. Yeah, they were called aquanauts.
Yeah, that's what they should be called.
I think it's so funny.
Explorers.
Aquanauts.
Yeah, he was an aquanaut.
And then there's, in 1960, another Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh. They traveled 7 miles below the sea. That's like the deepest anyone has ever gone, and it took them 13 hours.
Oh, 7 miles deep.
Yeah.
Wow. So probably in a trench.
That was in the trench.
Okay.
Yeah. It took them 13 hours, and their submarine had over 200,000 tons of pressure on it. And they heard like these cracking sounds, but they were like, we have to go. They were like, go deeper. And then when they came to the surface, they realized that like some like the back, like parts of the submarine had like cracked, but they were safe. But I'm like, but they weren't. They almost weren't safe, but they like did it for science. And then Jacques, he like I think he did hurt a bunch of marine animals like to study them, but then he like came clean later and he started a lot of organizations, and he was like, I did like punch fish in the face to like study them.
Jacques Piccard?
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Well, I don't care so much about the explorers. Jacques Cousteau is like iconic and very cool because he was an inventor, engineer, and also like a biologist and explorer.
Yeah.
And I don't see him on your list. Do you have James Ballard?
No.
James Ballard is in the same vein. James Ballard is the guy who discovered the Titanic, the wreck of the Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
And he uses like submarines and submersibles, and he's found a ton of like famous wrecks, but is also like a deep sea biologist and studied like the insane giant worms that are by the hydrothermal vents.
Oh, yeah, because those weren't... I know, because it's like very cold, but the vents can be like super hot.
They can be hotter than boiling because the pressure keeps the water from boiling at that depth.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, so James Ballard...
So hot.
I met in college, actually. He's a very cool guy. I don't know if he's still alive.
You met him?
He was an old guy when I met him. Yeah. My freshman year of college. He gave a talk at University of Virginia.
That's so cool. That is very... There's a... crap. There's a woman too.
But Ballard also like
a famous woman.
Invented like a new kind of submarine and did cool stuff with like robotics for the submarines and stuff.
Yeah, there's a woman who also did stuff, but I don't have her either.
You gotta get her details.
There's a woman.
Okay.
Yeah. So should we talk about the cool creatures in there?
Yeah, we've got cool creatures. I have a couple pieces of ocean trivia.
Oh, let's talk about the ocean trivia.
So do you know why there are tides?
Because the moon?
Primarily because of the moon. But why does the tide change throughout the course? Like yes, obviously there's like a daily tide.
Throughout the course
of the year, like the tide changes too?
Because we move, because the Earth is rotating, and so like the distance from the moon changes.
Well, no. So like, right, the Earth is just spinning, and the Moon is orbiting the Earth every 28 days.
Yeah.
Right. And so like that's why the tides don't repeat every 24 hours. It's every like 25
Right.
hours. But why aren't they from month to month? They should be the same, but they're not. It's because the sun also affects
Oh,
the tides.
I was close. I was like, because we're moving. I said the relationship with the moon, but I meant the sun.
And then this is more a conceptual fun factoid though. Is like, why are there 2 tides a day if the Earth just spins once on its axis?
Oh, like high tide and low tide?
Yeah, shouldn't there be 1 tide? No, there's 2 high tides every 25 hours.
Oh.
And 2 low tides.
I don't know.
There's a morning high tide and an evening high tide typically.
I don't know.
So it's because the tide is caused not by the water getting pulled towards the moon. The Earth itself flexes and actually squishes a bit as it rotates because of the moon. And so the Earth you can imagine like the Earth, while it fully rotates, it basically like the squish is moving like towards the moon.
That's so weird.
And so your point on the Earth is like basically squished towards the moon or away from the moon twice a day as the Earth gets squished. So that's why you get 2 tides per day. Or 2 high tides per day, it's called. Yeah. Did you know the Norwegians had... I forget the word, but the Vikings have all these very cool names for the tides.
Oh, just like the snow, just like the words for snow.
Yeah. So there's like... Because tides, I guess, were very important to them. So there's one of them is like the spring tide, which is like the tide that's like coming up, that's rising.
Oh. Why are there waves? The same thing as a tide, or no?
No, waves are caused by wind.
What?
Wind coupling with ocean currents.
That's so crazy.
Over like hundreds of miles.
That's really crazy.
And with the gentle movement of what in the sea you wouldn't notice, that's like the gentle undulation of like the water, when it comes up to the shore where you get less and less depth, then like the wave like gets big.
Oh, wow.
Is what's happening.
Oh, I know. Okay, so there is an island, not an island. There's an it's like underwater mountain off of Hawaii, and that's actually, if you were just measuring like the tallest mountain on Earth, Everest would lose to that one.
I mean, so that is the big island of Hawaii, Mauna Loa.
Oh, that's the island that we visit? So we're on
Yes.
top of the tallest mountain?
You've been to you actually went up and saw the observatory, right?
Yeah.
So you've been
wow.
to the peak of the tallest mountain on Earth.
So yeah. So I was going to
everyone.
climb Everest, but never mind.
As I like to say, Hawaii is a shield volcano, so it's very wide, so people don't even realize it.
Yeah. That's really cool. Like Oh yeah, James Cameron also went to the Mariana Trench.
Yeah, famous filmmaker, and he's the Jeff Bezos of the ocean, I guess.
Was that before or after the Titanic? That was after.
Yeah,
right?
so it's after the film Titanic, but which like Robert Ballard like consulted on or whatever, since he discovered the wreck. He might have been in the film, but anyway, then James Cameron was like fascinated with the ocean, so he financed his own journey to the depths of the Mariana Trench.
Yeah.
In his own little submersible.
I don't think that he went as deep as the other guys.
Maybe not.
I think he like almost did or something. There's some sort of or they were down there for longer or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to set a depth record necessarily. They were like, well, you can go to the deepest part, but there's cooler stuff in this part of the trench. And he was like, I'll go look at the cool stuff.
I'll look at the cool stuff. Thank you very much. What, you got more trivia?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sorry, just checking my notes.
Oh, I know why it's blue sometimes.
Why is water blue?
Yeah, it's part. I mean, it's because it's what's underneath it. So, like, if you're in a very a beach with very white sand and the water's like very shallow or clear, it'll look more turquoise.
Yeah, because there's like white sand underneath.
Yeah.
We talked about the Greeks in the wine dark sea.
Yeah, it's because they were bad at describing color, I guess.
I've got whale facts.
But we're gonna go on
gun.
we're gonna go on to animals in a moment.
Okay. I think that's my trivia. It was mostly the tides.
But yeah, how do you escape a riptide?
Oh yeah, as you learn from experience. Would you like to tell us the story?
You swim sideways. You swim parallel to the shore, and you'll escape a riptide. And I forgot that, so I got pulled out by a riptide, and I was on a surfboard, and I let go of my surfboard, and then I made it back to the shore. And then I was walking down the shore, and I just saw my surfboard washed up, and then I remembered. I was like, "Oh yeah, you swim parallel to the shore."
Oh yeah, the surfboard swam parallel to the riptide.
Yeah, so there's that. And you sort of touched on the cowlicks of the ocean, basically, the things where all the trash gets caught.
Oh, we didn't talk about gyres.
Gyres, yeah. Gyres are they're different than a riptide. They're the cowlick. They're like a whirlpool.
Yeah, all they're very gentle. It's not like a crazy water spout type of thing.
I said a cowlick.
What's a cowlick?
In your hair. Everyone's hair has if you look in their scalp, your whirlpool.
The crown.
The crown is up here. The whirlpool is the swirly McDoodle, when you have...
A cowlick is a part of your hair that sticks up, like a cow licked you.
Oh, true. I guess I'm talking about the whirlpool of your hair.
Crown.
That's
your hair crown. We're in the center of it.
Oh, yeah,
For someone who does so much hair.
I mean, these are...
For you, it's effortless, so you don't know these terms.
Yeah. These wigs don't... Yeah. They're all lace front human hair. Wink.
No, a gyre is just it's where all the currents tend to will collect stuff. So anything kind of in that general vicinity will event. It's like a black hole, but very gentle. Anything in that vicinity will get collected. So the Great Pacific Garbage Patch.
There's actually garbage patch in every gyre.
There's a bunch of garbage patches because if you throw enough garbage in the ocean, it's going to collect eventually in a gyre where all the currents kind of come together.
Yeah, but as we'll talk about towards the end, we shouldn't really be concentrating on cleaning that up. We can talk about preventing and stuff, but we'll talk about that at the very end because we'll keep it light and cute until the end. And even at the end, it'll be optimistic.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, let's talk about the creatures now that live in the ocean. We've talked about the zones. We've talked about the currents, the waves, the tides. What sort of creatures did you want to discuss in the ocean?
Sharks.
You want to talk about sharks?
I want to talk about sharks and jellyfish.
Okay.
I found out a lot of cool sharks and
I want to hear
jellyfish.
some great shark facts.
Yeah. So sharks, they're not
We've all seen Shark Week.
Yeah, which is it sucks because it
unfair depiction.
Yeah, it gives them a bad reputation. They will... Okay, so let's get this out of the way first. They will... If they're, startled or whatever, they might, bite you. Mm-hmm. But you can avoid being
Sharks
bitten.
Don't attack humans. Humans wander into shark feeding zones.
Yeah.
But they'd probably rather be eating seals.
Well, that's a big issue, actually, is that, seals and sea lions and stuff like that, they are like sea wolves, basically. Yeah. And they used to not exist that much because they were very endangered, and now they're being less endangered. But they now that they're coming back, we don't know how to act around them, and they don't know how to act around us. So a lot of times people will see a seal or a sea lion, it will come up onto their surfboard or in their boat, and they're like, "Oh, it's so cute. Let me hang out with it." But usually it's doing that because it's being chased by a shark or a predator. Oh. So you're just you should stay away from it. Let it do its thing, but don't push it off or whatever. But yeah, you shouldn't like cuddle up next to it because like if one of you is gonna get eaten by a shark, it should be the seal.
So that was I used to live in the Bay Area, and I like surfing, so I would go surfing sometimes.
Did you ever have a seal come up on your boat?
I saw dolphins. Dolphins are like dolphins jumping through the waves while on my surfboard, and it's scary because they're huge and they're covered in scars. They're not like they're like beat up animals. Yeah, they're not like beautiful like SeaWorld whatever like captivity creatures. Dolphins in the wild are like they just ignored the surfers, but they would be like jumping through the waves trying to like looking for fish basically. But you're like, oh my god, that thing could easily drag me under and kill me.
Yeah.
Like, it is 10 times bigger than me. This giant wild animal in the water. Yeah, it's very startling. But there's like occasional shark attacks every year in the Bay Area, and it's almost always near the sea lion like preserve areas. And surfers will go out there because it's not as crowded, but it's like
but also if it's not as crowded,
I know.
Then like one of the things because sharks they have it's almost like pigeons have that like metal thing in them, like the compass or whatever. Sharks have like
the homing.
They have like a metal thing in them to help them see the sense the movements of fish, and so like the shark. There's like shark repellents that do it's like a sound that like it's kind of it will make the shark be like, oh god, like you know.
Nice.
But
like high pitched noises for teenagers.
Yes, but sometimes the shark will endure that pain because it knows that if it endures like that pain, it can find like a school of fish or something. So you shouldn't use a shark repellent. You should just not be a dumbass. Like you should, if you're in the water, like you should go to beaches that are crowded-ish because the sharks don't like to. Yeah, they can hear like the water and they can hear the people in the water and like they're just like gonna wait till like nighttime or something.
Is this true? The surfers would always tell each other, they'd be like, oh no, the dolphins are a good sign because they'll chase off sharks.
I think if you're seeing dolphins, that means that like the animals feel safe to like frolic about. So you don't know what's in there. Maybe there's like a whale. I don't know.
Because dolphins will fight sharks.
But there's the dolphins.
They will. They'll punch them with their beaks.
Well, yeah, I think it's just like also don't if there's a school of fish. Like a giant school of fish, don't surf through that. Don't hang out. Those are the obvio. Like a lot of the surfers that have like the one that girl who like lost her arm or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's because she was like surfing through a school of fish, and the shark just like saw her hand and was like, "Oh, it's a fish." They do have good eyesight, but they're like they don't see a lot of hands, and they're like the hand is like shaped like a pin. They're like hang 10, yeah. The best thing you can do if you do get close to one or if it does try to like bite you.
It's not going to happen to anybody who listens to this podcast either. It's like, great, it's less than the number of people who get struck by lightning, I think.
If it did, you should punch it in the nose.
Yes, punch a shark in the nose. Well,
but they're actually like really they're really like cute. I think they're so cute. And also they I
always love that advice though. Because it's like, can you name a single animal where like punching it in the nose wouldn't make it like go away?
Really? Wasn't there a guy who like punched that kangaroo?
Yeah, the guy punched the kangaroo that was like strangling his dog. But like, I love it because it's just like such a clear name a single creature where like punching it in the nose wouldn't make it like stop chasing you. It's a universal thing that like will make a predator go away.
Yeah, true. So sharks, some cute facts about sharks is that they suntan. Like they don't.
Sharks can get a tan.
They can get a tan.
Our buddy here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For the listeners, we do have a special guest behind us. His name is Fabrizio the shark. He's hanging out.
Yeah, he's leftover left shark. Yeah. Costume from Katy Perry's Super Bowl performance.
Yeah, just hanging out. They
One person, yeah. Chef Makievich says, I think I will just avoid the open sea.
yes, yeah. Well, you can avoid the open sea, but we'll tell you about it. So yeah, sharks. They tan.
They tan, which is really funny.
Yeah.
So they just get darker, or they get like a nice like glow?
I can show. I mean, I could find a picture and you can describe.
They have to put on sunblock.
Some scientist was he was studying these hammerhead sharks, these like baby sharks. Yeah. He was studying the baby sharks, and he had to look at them swimming, and he would move them to like shallow water so he could observe them. And then he had like a couple more baby sharks to put in there. And when he put them in, like the contrast between the ones that had already been swimming around in the shallow water.
Oh, and
then those ones, he was like, wait, these ones are like really dark now. And then he put like this little, sticker on, he put like a little sticker on their fin.
And they got a tan line?
They did, yeah. They did get a tan line.
That's great. So sharks will get dark.
Yeah, sharks getting dark. So they do suntan. They
got melanin, or whatever the equivalent is.
Yeah, they are.
So sharks,
yeah.
Do they live like super long, like certain sharks, right? Don't they collect lots of heavy metals in their bodies?
Yes.
Or is
so that is
tuna,
true.
I guess.
Well, okay, sharks live super long. We actually like almost don't know like how long they live, because it's rare to find a dead shark. Weirdly.
Okay.
Oh yeah, here you go. Here's the
hold it up to the viewers.
One of them is legit.
One of them is almost black.
Yeah.
And one of them is just sort of beige.
Here's for the viewers. The shark.
Wow, that's a serious
sharks.
tan. Wait, question. Did the shark itself get tan, like that's melanin, or is that like the shark being like a chameleon?
No, it got no, because I said they put the little sticker on the tail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they
get suntans, but they don't get skin cancer.
Yeah, they have so many things in their body. Their immune systems are like insanely good because their body cavity is not sterile. Like there's legit like salt water just like washing into their body cavity like at all times, like because they do get quite a bit like cut up, but they also heal very quickly. And the male shark has to, I think he has to bite the female shark to get her to like stay close to him when they're mating. And then she like also rips him up a little bit, but they'll have like open wounds and just like that's like their body cavity. Like it's just like open wound and then like the inside of their body.
Okay, so they have a
Do you
very
get what
strong
I'm
immune
saying?
system.
Like how crazy would that be if you got a cut and then it's like, oh, here's my like deep in my body 100%.
Yeah.
Immediately. And just like the air and everything is just getting in there.
Like a Chef Maki on Twitch. It sounds like an ex I was going to make that joke too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to bite each other to really get excited. Sharks with the S&M.
Their body, their skeleton is made of cartilage. Mm-hmm. So they're a big nose.
We know about the cartilage. Tell us, they got teeth.
Oh yeah, their teeth just grow like
conveyor belt teeth.
Their teeth grow like they just grow, and then like more teeth.
Just new rows of teeth keep coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and so the metals that you were talking about, they basically radioactive date the rings in their spines. To know like if the like one or two dead sharks that they found, they've like, because from when the bombs like went off, like when they were doing like the nuclear testing, they find like the trace like metals in there from that, and they can like count backwards to see how old the sharks are.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was just there's like because humans have dumped like mercury and whatever like heavy metals into the ocean or whatever from fishing nets or lead or whatever else, and like fish that live like shorter periods of time, like you know the little fish that we catch or whatever, like your I don't know, flounders or like mahi or whatever, like don't pick up a lot of heavy metal, but they're like don't eat shark because they like have been around for hundreds of years, and so they're like half mercury by this point.
Yeah, maybe.
You're like maybe I don't know
Maybe.
that might not be a thing. That there's a lot of mysteries about the ocean.
Their skin is very rough, except for I think the white shark has a soft, like if you pet them one way, it's very rough. It'll like cut up your
It's like a
hand.
cat.
Yeah, like a cat's tongue. A cat's tongue.
Yeah, I do know. They're very rough one way.
Nurse sharks, they have like nice skin. They have good dermatology. They use a lot of squalene.
Nice.
Do you know what squalene? Okay, so like squalene, it is a compound that was harvested from shark liver, but you can also get it from like olive oil. So if you're using, and it's a very good like moisturizer. So if you're using squalene skincare products, like make sure they're not from sharks. I don't know. I don't think they're doing that anymore, but just saying like,
Okay.
yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, blue sharks are actually blue.
Sharks have rings in their vertebrae.
That's how, yeah, they
Yeah.
count.
All right.
Oh, yeah, some of them have live birth, and some of them have eggs. Some of them can switch. They can, like, decide. Also, I think it's the nurse shark. Maybe the tiger shark. One of the shark species, there's two different, like, uteruses basically, and each uterus holds like several baby sharks, and then it's basically like drag race. They lip sync for their lives until there's only one baby shark in the embryo left, and then or in the uterus left, and then that one gets born. So yeah,
Look at your notes. A sandbar shark will have 35,000 teeth in its lifetime.
that's so crazy. Sharks look so funny. They're just like, "Rawr."
That's so many teeth. Yeah, I mean, it's not the shark's fault. They can't make faces, right? They don't have facial
Well,
muscles.
okay, so like,
But they just look like they're attacking all the time.
yeah, their eyelids go like the other way, like they flip the other way so that it kind of looks like their eyes are rolled back in their head. Whereas like dolphins, and they have like little eyelashes, or like dolphins smile, you know, but like sharks have like reverse eyelashes. So
Whoa.
yeah.
Yeah, and so sharks, like a lot of fish, they have to keep most sharks have to keep moving to like most creatures with gills to keep like water flowing over their gills. Some sharks have, what's it called?
They have a pump that can like pump air.
Yeah, the spear aspirator, spiracle.
An aspirator.
A spiracle is the equivalent of, they can then like something that will pump water for them while they're at rest.
So a lot of them, they go into a trance sometimes to like conserve energy. And I forget his name, the scientist who discovered that the sharks can tan, he's made like a lot of shark Fitbits, and
Shark Fitbit is a Fitbit you attach to a shark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he wants to see how many like calories they burn when they're just like all the time, because they always have to swim like all the time. So he wanted to like check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why fish and sharks, it's such good eating. It's like good lean protein. It's all muscle.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, dolphins have the same thing. Well, dolphins are mammals.
Yeah.
Right. So they don't have gills, but dolphins continue swimming while they're asleep, and they like one half of their brain goes to sleep at a time.
Yeah, I think, don't they sometimes rest at the bottom, and then their body just makes them float up to the top for a second to like breathe, and then they go back down.
I thought they just kind of sleep in like 1 to 2 hour increments, which is how long they can hold their breath for. and they just they just circle, like the whole pod of 100 dolphins hangs out and they circle.
Yeah, we went dolphin.
I know, we saw dolphins doing this. We saw them napping.
I was gonna say dolphining, but that sounds...
Dolphin watching.
Yeah.
Dolphin peeping.
Yeah, they are. We didn't even see huge ones, but they are. It is crazy to see them in the water, like in the water. It's so crazy. And then we saw one like jump.
We saw some baby dolphins. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were all...
Oh yeah, we did see the
flying dolphins or something.
The spiral.
Oh yeah, the spiral. Yeah, it looks like they're doing elbow circles. Like they're doing back handsprings like over and over again. It's pretty crazy.
It's like a little football.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Oh yeah, if you have your period, you can still go in the water because sharks do not care about blood in the water.
Really?
They don't care.
Why is that such a popular conception?
Jaws.
Because Jaws did that.
But think about children have like scrapes all the time in the water, and there's not like sharks, and then this same like shark.
They don't have like a bloodlust that drives them into a frenzy.
No, the same like shark dude said it's really hard to get sharks to like, when he does want sharks, he used to like have chum to get them to come out, and he was like, they wouldn't come out. Like, yeah, sometimes they just don't want to. So yeah, they can't like smell blood. They go by like movement really, and their like metal sense, and yeah.
I think people just want sharks to be monsters, so they categorize them as such.
Yeah.
Which is unfair. And this podcast is about busting stereotypes.
Yeah. So if you watch Shark Week, it's just watch it for the entertainment, but they're not gonna like attack you.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really sensationalizing the sharks.
Yeah. Also, a lot of it's their fault too, because a lot of the shark cages or whatever, a lot of the photographers, they wanted bigger like holes in the shark cage because they didn't want like the bars of the cage to be in the shot. So they made bigger like things, and then the sharks will swim into the cages, and then the sharks like freak out because they're trapped in a cage, and then they just start like freaking out and like biting anything. So that's if like any photographer got attacked or whatever, it's because like it's their own fault. They like made the shark feel upset.
They made the shark feel inadequate.
Yeah.
By taking photos of it and commenting on them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're gonna have to Photoshop this. We'll filter this out. We'll fix your scars in post production. It's fine. I have a Photoshop filter and clean that up.
Well, the sharks heal very quick. Like they don't have.
They get scars. They do get scar tissue,
yeah.
much like the dolphins. Yeah.
They get like keloid scar. I don't even. Yeah, I guess it would be a keloid scar. I think that's so crazy. You just like open, and then like there's their body cavity, and there's just like open wound, salt water in and out of the body.
Well, salt water is pretty sterile. At least there's not a ton of like microbes or bacteria. Not nearly as many as can live in like brackish like. No, but
that's crazy. That would just be like walking around with like a bullet hole. Like I'm like, that's the craziest thing. It's just like they're just like a water bottle like in the ocean, just like yeah. I think that's so crazy.
Yeah, it's a good immune system. You want to talk about lobsters real quick?
Oh, I don't know a ton about lobsters.
Right. So lobsters, first off, it's unethical to like boil them because they can feel it.
You have to kill them first. Yeah.
Yeah. If you at least like chop their head off or slice them down the middle, they die quickly and painlessly. David Foster Wallace wrote about this famously in Consider the Lobster.
Oh yeah.
And then lobsters are effectively immortal.
What?
So they don't die. They die basically because they get too big for their shells, and they like, for whatever reason, like just can't molt and create a new one. It starts taking like too much energy once a lobster gets like big enough. It like can't get the energy to like molt and generate a new shell, and so it like dies because of that. Or they just get eaten by like natural predators or whatever. But lobsters, like, from what they can tell, they don't have like the weird telomere like lengthening aging that like every other animal has. They effectively have like stem cells and like don't biologically age. They just get bigger. So yeah, lobsters are effectively immortal.
That is so crazy.
But like you couldn't, like a lobster in captivity couldn't live forever because eventually it gets so big that it can't sustain like the energy demands of molting again. But like, yeah.
I'm just thinking of The Simpsons where Homer has to Pinchy. He has to bathe. He's like, he got dirty, so I had to give him a bath in hot water.
A hot bath.
Yeah. And then they're like, "What's that delicious?" And he's like, it got butter in there too. He's like, "Yeah,
some butter.
Polish him." Yeah. Eat more lobster. Oh, what you should not eat is shrimp. Shrimp. Well, unless you're paying like $20 a pound for shrimp, it is actually like one of the you're devastating the ecosystem if you eat shrimp, which I learned.
I thought shrimp are now. I thought a recent like innovation, last 20 years, they really figured out how to farm shrimp.
So if you're eating farmed shrimp,
they used to not be able to.
If you're eating farmed shrimp, go ahead and eat them, right? But they should be like fairly expensive, like the cheap ass. Like if you're getting like a whole bag of them, I don't know how much they cost.
Where are they getting cheap shrimp from?
I don't know. I don't eat seafood really, so I don't know. But I think people think of shrimp as like sort of a throwaway, like cheapo, like they're the insects of this, like, you know.
We didn't say I think it's pretty commonly known factoid is that used to feed lobsters to prisoners, and it was considered like the grossest, like most disgusting food. And then now it's like the most expensive food.
Which is good. That's a good thing because it's like if shrimp, like if the price of like food went up with like how rare it is, then people would be like, you know, they wouldn't
farmed more sustainably.
Yeah, if there wasn't like, well, it just people couldn't afford to like eat so damn much. Like there wouldn't be like Red Lobster, like bottomless lobster or whatever, you know.
I don't think that's what Red Lobster. They don't do bottomless. They do like bottomless like bread or something like.
I was making a joke. I've never.
They do have some bottomless thing, but I think it's like bottomless sides. It's like some.
Yeah, well, there wouldn't be a Red Lobster. It would be like the highest rest. There would be like Gold Lobster.
Ah, I see.
So, but shrimp, if you're just eating like not farmed shrimp, then it's really, really bad to eat them.
Just the way they grow them or whatever is like.
If you're not eating farmed, I said if you're not eating farmed shrimp, the way that they get them is very bad. It's very, very bad because they're so small, they like can't. It's kind of how they have to have like dolphin safe tuna. Like they end up fishing a lot of other fish with the shrimp too because they're really small and also like they are being depleted. Yeah, so it's like not good to eat shrimp. It's like one of the worst seafoods for the planet that you can eat. A lot of people don't know that. Also like, yeah, tuna. So apparently like, what is it? Like sardines and anchovies, like those are like good, like okay, those are like the best ones to eat.
So sardines and anchovies are small fish.
Yeah.
Very short lifetime or lifespan or whatever, and can be caught like, and they can be farmed.
Yeah.
So they're just grown in like giant pools.
The other thing, shrimp, they have like, it's like a lot of energy. It's like hard for them to grow. That's, you know, like as you said, the lobster, like with the shell, like, because shrimp, yeah, they're like very slow growth. So like if you kill one, it's like, oh fuck, it's going to take like forever to get another one like that big.
Yeah, so small fish like sardines and anchovies. Tuna is the opposite extreme. The irony that tuna comes ground up in a can is insane.
Yeah.
Because it's like one of the giant, like the largest ocean fish.
Yeah.
They live a super long time. A tuna in a fish market weighs like a couple 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And I have been to the, like in Tokyo, in the fish market. And in the morning they bring in like the swordfish and they use like, when they catch like tuna out in the wild, they throw them like a freezer on the ship. And then they bring them into the fish market and they use a saw and they're like cutting like giant, like 20-pound blocks out of the tuna.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get, I guess, semi-fresh tuna that way. But like, yeah, tuna are overfished. To catch tuna, they use like giant, like plastic nets, which catch a bunch of other stuff, like dolphins or seals or other, you know, fish
Seal
that I'm
safe
trying
tuna.
to catch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and like, it's a joke, but you're like, eat tuna. Your grandchildren won't get to enjoy it because like, they'll be gone.
Yeah.
Um,
Should we talk about jellyfish?
but yeah. Also, but yeah, tuna can't be farmed, right? It's an ocean fish too. So it's like not. There's not an agricultural like sustainable population going. They're like out in the wild.
So yeah, apparently the best things, are like the best things for like the ocean to eat if you're into that kind of thing are like
Sustainable fish.
yeah, or like the anchovies, the smaller ones. I think certain kinds of like scallops, they can farm them. Certain kinds, like if you're into like
Yeah, I think crabs are doing
vibe.
okay. Like crabs aren't in danger for the most part. Except we'll talk about the horseshoe crab because that's a crazy animal.
Oh yeah, the horseshoe crab. And also algae, seaweeds, and like sea vegetables.
You got your seaweed snacks.
So if you like the taste of if you like how's everything tasting and you're like delicious. If you like the taste of that, go for it. It's actually really helpful because there's an overabundance of like algae and stuff because a lot of the fertilizers are like running off.
Fertilizer runoff leads to like algae blooms.
So actually by eating sea vegetables, you're like helping clean up the ocean.
And then and there are now farm raised salmon, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's another thing that they just kind of figured out in the last 10 to 20 years. But you can get people will say it is not as tasty or whatever, but like they're sustainably raised because those salmon would exist
delicious.
if not for the farm.
Sustainability so that's really good.
Let me tell you about the horseshoe crab.
Okay.
By the way, real quick, this is wild. So horseshoe crabs are found along the East Coast, and their blood
is blue,
and like has like very very like specific like properties, I guess, that are useful in developing antibiotics and vaccines. So every year, like major medical establishments like Pfizer and Moderna go out and they harvest like hundreds of thousands of horseshoe crabs. And by harvest, they don't kill the crab. They actually go like collect them and they like draw like blood from the crabs and then they put them back into the ocean.
They're like, it's the blood drive.
And there are like sustainability issues where like people argue that like it weakens the crabs, so then predators like come kill them or whatever. But it's like, it's a crab. It's not like putting up too much of a fight anyway. But they were like instrumental in developing the coronavirus vaccine.
Oh, really?
It was like the blood from horseshoe crabs is like a critical part of any vaccine development process and like most biomedical stuff.
Isn't that interesting? Because the blood from bats is like how we got into this whole...
Yes, I know. The blood from crabs is what saved us. Yeah, so shout out horseshoe crabs. It's look it up, by the way. Yeah, horseshoe crab blood or whatever. Google that. There's I forget where the article was, in the Atlantic or New Yorker or something.
Probably like, in the Atlantic. Get it?
Maybe it was in the Atlantic. But yeah, it was a fascinating article.
Oh, so why do they have blue blood?
I mean, there's talk about like if the blood is oxygenated or not, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's like whatever specific chemical.
I think it's because they're in New England and there's some lacrosse playing.
Dinosaurs probably were red-blooded, as we talked about on the dinosaurs episode, because they were basically birds.
Yeah.
Since dinosaurs were the forerunners of birds and had air sacs throughout their body, they had a very high like oxygen content in their blood. But back to
yeah. You want to hear about jellyfish? Because it's crazy. They're crazy.
Yeah, tell me about the jellyfish.
So jellyfish,
Which jellyfish? The man of war? Portuguese man of war?
Okay, so jellyfish have a three-part life. There's the planula part, which is where they look like a germ. They just look like a sneeze. Okay.
Oh, and they can like go back, right? Yeah. Is that the thing?
Well, no, here's the crazy thing. Okay, so they have that part. And they have the polyp, which is where they look like an upside down jellyfish. Okay. And a lot of people were like, how do we get the jellyfish to like go into like the last stage, which is like jellyfish stage? And they're like, how do we do this? Because like at zoos or like, not zoos, like aquariums.
How do I get my jellyfish to grow up? And move out of the house?
Because they'll stay in that phase for like years.
It's got arrested development.
Years, and they're like
take on responsibilities and be an adult.
So they were injecting like all these different like things to see like what would get them to do it. And there's a medicine for like a prescription medicine for like stomach issues. That is the medicine that like gets them to do it.
Ooh,
and it's like harmless to that. They just do it. They'll be like, all right, I'm an adult now. They'll metamorphosize.
They should introduce it to some female jellyfish and maybe and give it some responsibilities and maybe it'll grow up.
Well, yeah, at the polyp like part, they can't mate like sexually, but they can like clone themselves a little bit.
Yeah, they can do asexual sex.
Is it Pepto-Bismol?
Yeah,
I think it's like I think it's like a cancer grade like anti-nausea.
Oh wow.
Drug. I'm pretty sure. I
like Isn't there a jellyfish that can just be like it can be like I feel like a child again and it just goes back and can like reset?
Yeah, they can go. Well, it's not really that they go back. They remind me so much of air plants. Mm-hmm. Which we talked about in the plant episode, because they also don't really like die. They just like parts of them come off, and that like is the new like baby.
Oh, they bud.
Yeah, it's like their jellyfish phase of their life is like the flowering phase. It's like the most beautiful, but it's like the end is near. So they have like pups. They have like little like boops come off of them, and then that like becomes the new jellyfish.
And those just become a new jellyfish.
Yeah. So I don't know, I just thought that was really cool about them. Yeah, the jellyfish. They also come in all different colors. They also have black jellyfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have like, I mean, because we just think of like the clear jellyfish, but there's all different colors of jellyfish.
Let's see, we talked about manna shrimp on the colors episode.
Yes. Oh yeah, because at the level...
We didn't talk about spider crabs. They look cool. That's about all I have to say.
Oh yeah, I have a list of like all the craziest fish. But why don't you tell us about whales before I do the craziest fish?
Okay. So whales are really great because, as we all know, they're mammals that swim around. They're the biggest animals around currently. Well, there's megalodon like back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, the origin of whales is pretty amazing, right? So like
Wait, maybe that was a shark. That was a shark megalodon.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm just saying, whale's biggest animal.
Okay.
Sperm whales especially. Huge, 60 feet long.
The blue whale. I thought the blue whale was the biggest whale.
I think it's up there. I thought sperm whales actually. They're around the same size. They're big.
Yeah, do you know how big the biggest whale is? Wait, I actually have it.
Go for it.
Blue whales are the largest. They can be up to 100 feet.
Oh, blue whales are even bigger.
Yeah, they're the largest ones. Do you know how big a whale's penis is?
About 10 feet.
Yes. One of your favorite facts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They don't call him Moby Dick for anything.
So the like right, the Chicxulub asteroid impact that probably like killed off the dinosaurs 65 million years ago, right? That also, in addition to killing off a bunch of land animals, it killed off all the mammals that lived in the ocean at the time. So there were giant like mammals swimming around back then. Well,
hippos?
Hippos survived, but the animals that died were like the mammals in the ocean. They're really big ones because there was like major climate change and all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. But so then there was an ecological niche, and so
the whales were like
ecological niche, and so the whales were like,
I have a big penis. I think I can fill this niche.
And also the penguins. So basically, like various birds evolved to become like ocean birds. So penguins evolved around 50 million years ago.
They're not related.
Did whales.
I was like,
they're not,
because I was like,
everything goes back to some original life
orca
form.
whales and penguins do be looking alike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We didn't even talk about Luca, which was the last universal common ancestor, like 4 billion years ago.
Oh yeah.
But
it's me.
50 million years ago, yeah, evolution of penguins, basically birds that are like, oh, I can go hunt fish. There's no like other giant mammals to compete with in the ocean. And whales evolved from hippos and rhinos, and like even-toed ungulates that were hoofed mammals that were like running around returned to the sea. And so
they were like, yes, nature's healing.
Yeah, so whales, like a whale skeleton, you can see that like a whale's flippers look the bones look like hands.
Oh, because they've counted. That's like part of their classification. They're like counted how many fingers they would have. Which I'm like, whose job is that? They're like, I believe it has 10 fingers.
What's even wilder is whales have hips.
That's not wild to me. I see those hips.
They do not have butts. They don't. There's no reason. They don't have legs. There's no reason for whales to have hips.
Stop insulting their body. Stop shaming them.
And the hips aren't attached to their spine.
Okay, that's weird.
They're just kind of there still, but like eventually, probably evolutionarily, like they'll lose the hips because fish don't have hips. It doesn't make any
male
sense.
Nipples.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just the thing that like evolution hasn't gotten rid of yet.
Yeah.
So yeah,
maybe it holds the baby in there, like it keeps the baby from like bursting through.
It's possible, but they can't really find a reason why.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what
it's used for.
They don't lie though. I gotta tell you.
So the whales were the return to the sea, and so Darwin actually in 1859, when The Origin of Species was published, Darwin it wasn't just astounding because of how good he was at drawing and like the theory, and that it was so well supported by like the fossil record and the animals that he documented from his trip with the beagle. But Darwin made a lot of like pretty bold speculation in The Origin of Species, and he wrote about, he's like, even whales, you could imagine, probably descended from some mammal. You could imagine a species of bear that would swim around in the ocean, and eventually like it became so adept that it like evolved into what are like modern whales. And it was ridiculed when The Origin of Species came out. And in subsequent editions, he removed that like.
I love that people were like,
part.
No, but let's use this literature to just be like racist against human. Like people were willing to take that
social
jump.
Darwinism. They're like, okay, cool part about the finches. We like what you did in the Galapagos. Nice. I'll buy maybe the ape argument. Whales from bears. No, thank you. But he pretty much got it right.
Yeah, he did.
Is they actually pretty much guessed correctly that whales were descended from like some land mammal. Yeah, so whales, they swim around, no hips, giant body size, covered outer layer of blubber around their like main body and muscle.
So body shaming them. Well, you know the difference between blubber and fat, though?
What's the difference?
That blubber doesn't really require like that many. Blubber doesn't require like that many calories to keep it like popping, and it insulates you a lot better. So like babies, like human babies, they have like quote unquote baby fat.
It's blubber.
It's like a special kind of brown fat, like because normally like your brown fat is like only around your organs, because it's like essential, right? But yeah, babies, their fat is like all brown basically, but that's kind of like human blubber.
Yeah, depending on the workout program and diet that you put your baby on, results may differ.
Yeah. You're like, lean baby.
But there is like a theory that I don't know how much this holds up, but that's like the reason whales get so big is both like they dive to extreme depths. They can dive like almost the deepest. I think right whales dive the deepest of like as deep as most fish, like 4 miles or something.
Because they can dive.
They can dive real deep, and because whales are like one of the few animals that travels the entire globe. So whales can like be found anywhere.
And they sing.
And they are nomadic. They sing. Whales have a culture. Whale groups are differentiated by their songs.
Oh my God, that's
much
so
like
cute.
Human groups are differentiated by their cosmologies or
They're like the original girl group.
But yeah, whales have their own customs and songs that they sing to each other in different groups. And so they have effectively a form of culture, which is pretty cool. Like, you a West Side Atlantic whale? Or you
that's
like
so cute.
You a Pacific whale?
Where can you find them mostly?
Well, they
California.
They will like navigate the globe
as singing women. Like
there are seasons for whales. Yeah, so as we know, because we've seen humpback whales in Hawaii, humpback whales happen to be around the Hawaiian Islands in like November, December. But they will travel the globe as part of like their migratory patterns.
That's so crazy.
And I don't know, there's probably some kind of bird, but there's very few animals that will do that. But yeah, so whales get around. And so the theory is because they can go into Arctic waters and such cold waters and like
Whale sororities.
then maybe like it's effectively by having a large body mass, you can like preserve heat better. So people compare this to Polynesians.
What?
Because Polynesians are like, we're very like seafaring early people.
Okay.
And the Polynesians developed a larger body like
like
size.
yeah.
So just like
I was like,
among basic body like phenotypes, like Polynesians have like very large bodies.
yes.
Just compared to like other
But
humans.
the body shape, maybe. The body.
I'm not. This is a phenotype based thing, and they were comparing whales.
You are Hawaiian though, so you can say
like the
that.
whale sororities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so there is on a podcast we listen to, they talk about the 52 hertz whale. So there's a whale that sang out of key.
Oh yeah, it was like Left Shark, but for singing.
But
for
other whales couldn't understand it.
Oh, poor baby.
And so it was a lonely whale.
The Rock needs to play a whale
The Rock
in a
should
movie.
play
Yes.
a whale. So yeah, right. The Rock, yeah, huge Polynesian guy.
True.
But yeah, there was one whale that couldn't communicate with other whales because it
So
was
what do
like
they
off
do?
key. It's just lonely. Scientists like go hang out with it.
They said, "Man, you are really drunk." Yeah.
And then so the whaling industry, like mid 1800s, primarily because whale oil was like really high quality oil. And the thing that saved the whales, they would have been hunted to extinction because there was a whole industry in Moby Dick, where they were just hunting whales. And what's crazy is when they caught a whale, they'd harpoon it, kill it, drag it alongside the boat, skin the whale, take all the blubber, and they would render it, which is basically boil it down to get the oil out.
Oh my god.
Store that in barrels in the ship, right? So like, can you imagine what like insane, like incredibly dangerous, like bloody work? You're standing in a whale carcass, like carving it up on the side of a ship in the middle of the fucking Pacific or Atlantic.
Although Moby Dick,
the
they do really.
And then you're
They're
boiling
like
it down
into whales.
in a giant fire on a wooden ship. So if it catches fire, with like the sails all made out of like, cotton and fabric. If anything catches fire, you're all dead.
They knew a ton about whales in Moby Dick. They were like,
they did. They, at least in Moby Dick, they regard them with a very sort of wary respect. But yeah, they render down the whale into oil. It's just barrels and barrels of oil.
Like, what do they
and then they just dump the carcass, all the meat, the muscle, the bone, everything. Maybe they would keep the baleen was useful for making baskets and corsets, right? The whale teeth bones are useful, but they just dumped the fucking whale carcass in the ocean.
So what saved them?
So whales were getting hunted to extinction. The thing that saved them actually was better living through chemistry and the development of vegetable oil, which substituted for whale oil in like food.
And now it's killing us.
So margarine and trans fats, And
now we're dying.
And the development of kerosene, which replaced whale oil for lamps.
And then Hanukkah.
And then also, I guess, motor oil.
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah, of course.
Yeah. They were like,
They were using palm oil from the beginning, I think.
No, but I mean, they were like, that's not single use. They were like, we don't just have to like light this lamp one day and have it run out. We can like keep trying to light it.
Oh, the miracle of Hanukkah.
Well, it's like reduce, reuse, recycle.
So final whale fact is that there's the whale blubber that we talked about to get all the whale oil. That's like grade B oil. And then there is sperm whale. There are sperm whales, which were like in Moby Dick. Moby Dick is a sperm whale. And they're like not as big as blue whales, but they're big ass whales. And sperm whales have a giant
their brain, right?
The sperm whale's head takes up a third of its body.
That's so cute. That's like a French bulldog.
They are like, they're the Frenchies of the ocean.
Big baby.
Big baby. And
baby whale.
And their head it's a like 500-gallon cavity filled with basically this waxy oil called the spermaceti.
It's like spaghetti.
And it's it is like a very, I don't know, there's still debates about what it's used for, but they think it's for echolocation, and it like helps them with fishing. Sperm whales also have an asymmetrical head because it helps them with echolocation.
Cool.
With stuff sounds different from
That's
the
like
right
the
versus
Metro
the left.
card that has a little like notch, so if you're blind, you know which
Exactly.
way.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. And same, their blowhole is actually asymmetrical. It's a little bit to one side.
They're like trying to do like a blowhole contour, and they're like, if you have a crooked blowhole, you need to shade the one side.
Yeah, cool. Very cool animals. They're like, right, they're social, they're intelligent. Young sperm whales live together, like males and females in like a nursery, and they're tended by like the female sperm whales, and then the male sperm whales are loners. They're like bulls.
I learned about that in Blackfish.
Like at a party, basically.
Did you ever see Blackfish?
I did not watch Blackfish.
I saw it like 3 times.
I thought Blackfish was about the killer whales.
But it's the same with them, though. Because what's his name? Like the whale. The whale in that movie. Mm-hmm. Not Shamu, but like...
Not Shamu, but another mistreated whale who gets mad and kills its owner.
No, because so they that whole movie is about like that it's like father or something was aggressive, and if they, I mean, you're not supposed to like do what they did anyway, which is like to get the whale. You're supposed to just like have the ones that are like bred from the whales that you already captured like millions of years ago, I guess. But they like, yeah, they got that whale and it was really aggressive, and like they bred that whale with like, they just kept breeding like this aggressive like trait. Oh. And then they also, they train them and they train them with like sound, you know, they hear like, yeah, like it look like they have like a little clicker, like a whistle or something, and they're supposed to get a food after that, and like the trainer like click the thing, but she missed the whale like doing the trick or whatever, so she like didn't feed it.
Rude.
And yeah, and then like I think some bad shit had already happened. He was having a bad day, and then they do like a circus trick where she's like on her like a board, and the whale is supposed to like press, like raise her up to the surface or whatever. Then I think she fell off the board, and it was like, oh, you didn't give me any like fish, I'm going to eat you.
Maybe he thought she was the fish. He's
maybe.
Like, finally that fish. I did the other trick and I raised the board.
I get a big fish
it's
today.
Snack time.
Yeah. There is a really funny, just like there's like that whole movie is like very serious and ominous and whatever. There's a very like funny scene in it, just totally random, where they like, because they have to like mate. They have to, you know, they have to like breed the whale or whatever. So you would think that like, yeah, so like the scientists have to like jerk the whale off basically. And you would think it would be like, you know, like 3 men with like gloves, just like, but it's like one scientist, and they're literally just like tickle it. Like they're just like one finger. They're just like, and the whale is like, it's really funny. You can look it up. Not to like...
Wait, the whales won't have sex on their own?
Because they're like so depressed and like...
Depressed.
Yeah, and it's like bad captivity. Like they don't give them enough space. And also this whale was, like you said, they have like, the females are very cliquey, and the males, they sometimes have like one bro that they hang out with, but he was with all females, and they would rake him. So they would swim past him and like drag their teeth across him. Ooh. And so he had scars. And then if other whales see that you have scars, they're like, oh, you must be like a fuck boy. So they like ignore they like ignore
it's
you.
Like Yakuza tattoos.
Yeah, they like scar shame you.
Wow.
So he was like really depressed.
Him like some, you know, some cover up or whatever, a little makeup,
some
a little waterproof concealer to
cover
his scar.
And his like fin was all bent. Oh, poor guy. Mm. Yeah, but they jerked him off by like just like it's really funny, and he's you can look it up. It's like it's the one funny part of that whole movie.
Very sensitive part.
Yeah. Yeah. They should have just done that for him, just to like. to make his life better, I guess.
Oh yeah, he probably wouldn't have eaten his trainer if they'd jerked him off that day.
So do you want to have the weirdest fish and then the ocean conservation?
Yeah, I've covered my factoids.
Okay.
This is about the weird. Here's the weirdest fish.
The weirdest. So you can like describe there's the jawfish.
By the way, I want to make a point. Whenever you see these weirdish fish,
oh, they look weird because they're not under pressure.
Yeah. So it's like, well, yeah, when they're like 3 miles deep or whatever, it's like a normal sized fish, and you bring it out of the water, and it's like some insane thing. You're like, well, that's disgusting. And it's like,
God.
what would you look like if we like put you in space and you like expand?
Oh yeah,
right?
But
Not
if we
fair.
put you like in the water, you look snatched. You'd be like facelift.
Oh, it is true.
Yeah, because I think they studied like people in a submarine, and they were like their hair like grew slower, but they like something grew faster, but something grew slower. I forget what it was.
In space or under the sea?
No, under the sea in like a submarine. They were like, oh, they look really like hot, but their hair's not that long.
Oh, I was gonna one more factoid about the whales is that they do have like their bones are composite in such a way that their ribs and spine can like compress and flex a lot, so that when they dive down to like 4 or 6 miles deep or whatever, like insane depths that the right whale can go to, and other whales they slim down. They're like their ribs compress and they become like, so you can imagine
they corset.
Yeah, if they're like 4 miles deep, a whale is like a snake. It's just like whoop.
Oh yeah, and then
and then it comes back to the surface.
And it's crazy they get that big by eating just like plankton.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
it's plankton. So much plankton.
So much plankton, and just having baleen teeth.
Oh yeah, because the plankton just like go through their mouth at all times. They're just like always eating.
They just got a big sieve, and they're just like cruising through the plankton zones, and then we can talk about the ambergris, which is whale puke.
Ew! Oh no! That's a cool thing about sharks. They don't throw up. They just wash their stomach out.
A lot of animals can't throw up. It's kind of unique to mammals, actually.
But whales, they can they flip their stomach inside out and they wash it.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, I was like, oh
just,
yeah.
Like, pop it out of their mouth.
They just wash it off. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Whales, they like, I guess as part of like the plankton, like some of the crap that gets in there that they can't digest, it like collects.
Oh, that's what cows do.
Effectively as rocks or whatever, and they like puke it up at some point. And so it is I think it used to be used in all sorts of stuff, but now it's used primarily in perfume. Ambergris.
Oh no.
And so ambergris apparently has a very disgusting, it's like a sea like fecal odor, but it's super valuable, and so it's used as
it's like musk, right?
It's used as a fixative in perfume. So it makes when you spray on cologne or perfume, to keep it from evaporating right away, to keep the oils like and equalize the vapor pressure of it. Ambergris apparently is very good at that.
So don't get perfumes with that.
But I think even that now, there's like a synthetic version. They don't need the whale version as much.
Yeah.
But ambergris is still like, apparently dogs are really good at smelling it. So there will be ambergris hunters, sort of like truffle hunters, who are out on the beach with dogs who are like hunting down the ambergris.
Wow.
Used to be very valuable. Also, around the time in the 1800s, they're like, the only perfume we can have is also from whales. As is our candlelight.
They're like, we use the whole animal, not
As
really.
is my wife's corset. We use the whole animal, except all of its muscles and flesh, which we just throw into the ocean.
Oh yeah. Chef Maki says, I had a few nights where I wish I could have done that. Yeah, wash out your stomach. Can you imagine you like could just come home, like take it out, wash it in the sink, hang it up?
Yeah. And just be like, we're done.
Yeah, we're done with this. Yeah. So the jawfish, it hatches its eggs inside its mouth to protect its newborns from predators.
The fish just looks like a giant jaw. Okay.
Yeah. It kind of looks like an alien too.
It has like 4 rows of teeth too.
The wolffish. The wolffish looks like, I just feel like he's like an old guy at a tavern. He's like, come here often.
Can grow to 6 feet long. He looks gross.
Ooh. The coffin fish.
Okay.
Coffin fish is found in Australia. He's called a sea toad.
Look, you just showed me like 3 losers on this fish list. I want to see a cool looking
The parrotfish. Oh, okay. So, the parrotfish is actually really, it's really cool because it is responsible for all of our sand. Because
oh yeah, cool factoid about beaches.
Parrotfish they eat like things and then they can't digest it and they poop out sand. So
they eat pebbles. Basically, and break it down into sand.
Yeah, and they poop it out. And so sometimes you can see a parrotfish and it's just like a stream of like sand is just like coming out of it. And that's like why beaches have sand, like legit. And like that's why they have sand, especially in like Hawaii and stuff like that. Like some like rockier beaches, I think it's just like the ocean grinds up the rocks, but like tropical beaches, it's like parrotfish poop.
Yeah, every nice beach you've been to like... Although, that can't be totally true, right? Because there's no parrotfish off the coast of Coney Island or something.
No. I mean...
Where's that sand coming from?
The acrylic nails of all the women who go swimming in it.
Most of the bridge and tunnel crowd.
Yeah.
It's just... No, it must come from erosion, now that I think about it.
The Coney Island, the original cyclone just breaking down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they surround themselves.
Parrotfish do create sand, and I've heard that.
They surround themselves in a mucus to hide their smell when they sleep.
Because they smell like fish.
Yeah. What's she order? Fish fillet? The stonefish is one of the most venomous fish in the world. Yeah, and if you step on a stonefish, and they kind of look like rocks, their venom can be fatal to humans.
Oh. 80% of the sand around tropical coral reefs is parrotfish poop.
That's a lot of sand.
That's a lot of sand. But yeah, other sand like you see on any other beach that's not tropical, because there's no parrotfish around, is just from weathering and erosion. But it takes a lot longer.
Oh yeah, so there's the anglerfish.
Anglerfish is the one with the little light over its head, right?
Yeah.
It's like boop. It's like boop. And other fish are like, what's going on over here? Is this club still open?
Yeah.
And then it's like,
yeah.
Is it last call? Can I? Yeah.
Yeah. It just strobes. It's like, welcome to my nightclub. Yeah. It opens its mouth and it's like, yeah, and just like eats them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the blobfish. It was that dude. He also was like an unfortunate one who like I think he looks hotter.
Yeah, I think a blobfish is that like at depth it's like
he was once a beautiful man.
I'm not a blob. I'm known as like the handsome fish. And then like they brought it to the surface and he's like, well, I exploded. Yeah.
Oh, he's so he just looks like a little blob with a frown.
Parrotfish poop.
Parrotfish poop. Yeah. So let's talk about so some like conservation facts or whatever. So like yes, there are the trash like
folks, the ocean is dying.
The main reason that it's dying is because of if we really do like some climate control like situations, then it will feel a lot better. But it's like the reason why you should care is because the ocean will survive. It's been surviving, but like we'll die. Like the ocean will eventually be fine, but like we will die without it. So like if that's why you should care, if anything, and like all the cute creatures that live in it. But yeah, the main thing is because like the temperature is changing and a lot of the animals are like, let's move somewhere else, and then it's like messing up the ecosystem. So like that's, and also there's like a lot more carbon dioxide in it than there used to be, and that makes a lot of the fish like kind of confused and high.
Yes, the parts per million in our atmosphere of carbon dioxide has definitely increased as a result of just like the industrial era.
Well,
over the last couple hundred years.
This is interesting. Like the ozone layer situation isn't really an issue as it was because we banned like CO2 things, it's the chemicals that are like in the water that are causing this.
No, there's still a lot of like methane production, which is messing up.
It's coming from cows, though. But it's not like it was, though. It's actually like that is actually improved a bit. It's showing improvement.
It wasn't all CFCs is like kind of a nice story, but like there's like any fracking releases like huge amounts of methane into the atmosphere. It's still pretty fucked.
But I'm saying in the water, it's because of like the particles.
Well, the problem you have is the CO2 level in the atmosphere increases. The ocean is the biggest like sink for carbon dioxide from the air. It gets absorbed into the ocean, but that raises the acidity of the ocean. And so this is really bad because like there is a whole food chain in the ocean. So when you think about sharks or the fish that we catch or your tuna or whatever, they're eating smaller fish, which are eating like plankton and algae, which are eating like, you know, like tiny bacteria or whatever, which are actually very sensitive to ocean acidity levels, which is the water acidity. So like when you fuck up the lowest levels of the food chain, everything else above that dies. This is a real problem that's happening right now. Insects are dying off in massive levels on land because of pesticides and like human encroachment, which kills all the birds, for example. So like there's way less birds than there used to be because there's way less insects. So what can you do as an individual consumer?
So the main thing is like vote and like learn about policy and stuff like that. That is like number one. And like get, I don't know, like get, because the biggest thing is like to get companies
Secret Loft will always say this. It's a collective action problem, which is what governments are for. And you need to elect representatives who will fix this shit. Because it's not your fucking problem. You shouldn't have to buy special stuff or spend special money. Like, you shouldn't have to, like, carry around a thermos all the time. It should just all be mandated and part of life so that it's easy to do without you having to think about it.
Yeah.
And that means you need a good government.
Yes. And, like, a lot of, like, Costa Rica has banned, they've, like, banned, but a lot of parts of Africa have, like, banned plastic.
Costa Rica's economy primarily based around ecotourism in their rainforest. So yes, but yeah, very common sense thing to do because we all like really, really need like, you know, a nice ocean and skies and land just to eat, if anything, you know, to have food, to like grow crops.
Oh, and here's like an interesting thing.
But anyway, don't use plastic straws.
Don't use plastic straws. I have
paper straws are corn-based.
Oh, so I have a silicone because it's made of silica, which is like sand. It's good. So I have a silicone straw, right? And it's like I just carry it around everywhere with me. There's also metal straws. We have corn-based.
Reusable metal straws, great. At Secret Loft, we use corn-based straws, which at least are compostable.
Yeah. So you can.
And those don't melt. I know people have complaints about the paper straws falling apart on them.
Yeah, they don't melt. If you want a hot straw, like for your venue or whatever, they make these straws out of hay. And they don't melt.
And I've seen the bamboo straws.
The bamboo ones, those are a little more expensive, though. Those are kind of like for your restaurant, not as much for your like to-go drinks. Also, if you're gonna go to Starbucks, because they made a sippy cup which doesn't need a straw, but the thing is that top of the sippy cup is like more plastic. So if you're gonna get iced coffee, get it in a paper cup and say no lid. That's like the best thing you could do there. Also, if you have there's certain plastics that, like most plastics, you can't actually recycle, and you actually shouldn't throw them in the recycling because they'll like stop up the machines at like the sorting plant.
Oh.
There's certain plastics that like you just shouldn't.
This stuff is all maddening for me because it's like, then just don't sell me that fucking plastic. It shouldn't be my job to like be like, why do I have to research
You want to know what
you
happened?
Yeah.
Like the plastic like company, they lobbied.
Like, this should be a consumer choice issue. And it's
I
have so much stuff going on.
They lobbied.
Just make it illegal.
They lobbied for that recycling thing to be on all plastics. And the like plastic dude, I forget who he is, but he was like, he was like, yes, single-use like that. He's like, let's bring it back to trash. Like, we need to create more stuff to like recycle. Like, it's great, and plastic is one of those things. And like, they built it into our like.
So everybody feels good throwing their like single-use plastic into the recycling bin, but like the clamshell packaging on like your charger you got at Best Buy or whatever is like not going to be recycled. It's going into a landfill in Indonesia or into the ocean.
Well, it's going to try to be recycled. Like the recycling plant, they're going to like put all the recycling in the thing, and then they're going to have to stop the machine and take out your clamshell. So you're basically raising the tax on like recycling workers. Like you're making it cost more money to like hire them.
Yeah, they should just ban that packaging. Well, I didn't even ask for clamshell packaging in the first place.
I know, I don't want it. It's hard to open.
I would buy this charger in a paper bag. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I don't need
or
any
nothing.
Of this
just
stuff.
go in my
or
hand.
nothing.
Yeah.
It could be in a bin of chargers, and I would just be like, yeah, here we go. We're good. Packaging free electronics store.
Yeah. So like. Lobby, like find out who's on like the bill, what things are like up for discussion, and just like vote for those things and vote for people who like find out how they feel about plastic.
How do you feel about plastic?
How do you feel about plastic?
Well, we keep pumping this oil. We got to make something out of it. Yeah. Plastic bad on both sides because it comes from oil.
Yeah. You know what's great, though? Cans. Amazing.
Oh, recycling cans.
It is actually more like making a new can out of a can is like way cheaper and easier than to make more aluminum.
Yes.
Like making aluminum is like really fucking hard, but if you already have like a can.
You gotta mine it. It's hard.
Yeah, it's really hard. But if you have a can, you just easily make another can. You don't have to like add or subtract anything. You just like make another can. So aluminum is like awesome.
Yeah, you remove the label and then you melt
it down. It's so metal.
And you punch out a new can.
Yeah.
It's great. All right. That's been your ecological message about how to save the oceans, which really is that it shouldn't be your fucking job. You should just be able to vote for people who will think about this for you.
Yeah, so vote and learn. Vote and learn.
Vote and really just spend the day or two to learn about your representatives.
Oh yeah,
that's all that should be required.
One more thing: people are like, I want to do a cleanup, like help with the ocean cleanup. The shoreline and like coastline cleanups are like probably way more effective than like the deep sea cleans, like the far out sea cleans, because then you're like, it's the same thing as like the dolphin safe tuna. Like you're then like scooping up creatures. So like,
what was the name of the
Mr. Trashmobile?
Yeah.
Mr. Trash Wheel.
Mr. Trash
There's
Wheel.
Mr. Trash Wheel and like Professor Trash Wheel, and there are these sort of like filtering, recycling, like.
They're like, are they like NGO or university sponsored, or like who's like?
Yeah, they have Instagram accounts, and Professor Trash Wheels is a woman.
I think the boats are like solar powered. They're like carbon neutral trash cleanup boats.
Yeah. And
they just have like a big paddle wheel, and they're scooping up plastic out in the.
They also, Mr. Trash Wheel.
Mr. Trash Wheel.
And Professor Trash Wheel is a lady. Oh, I just looked at Mr. Trash Wheel.
What is Mr. Trash Wheel? Okay, so it's a motion vessel.
It's huge, though. Look how big it is. It looks like a covered wagon.
Oh no, it just lives in Baltimore. Oh, this isn't deep ocean. I've seen it. It lives in like a canal in Baltimore. Yeah,
but it's like the start of it.
Oh, okay.
It's like the start. He's like.
Yeah, you thought New York City street trash was bad. Imagine if we had a canal. How much fucking garbage you get thrown
collected into. Approximately 1,233 tons of trash.
Yeah. I mean, that just tells you a keg, a living ball python, a guitar. Yeah, that tells you more about the people of Baltimore than it does about Mr. Trashville, I think.
Well,
somebody threw a guitar into the canal in Baltimore. Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
What? Oh, yeah, I was going to say. Oh, yeah, one more thing. Cigarette butts are, like, apparently the main thing. Like, when people do, like, beach cleanups, cigarette butts are, like, the main thing. They said that they are now like out doing like straws.
I guess you don't want, birds or animals to eat them, but
They have like the chemicals in them, like that is gonna like get everywhere.
I figure those will biodegrade.
Like, you don't want nicotine in your sand. I mean, maybe you do. I don't know.
I don't know. It's derived from like a tobacco plant.
You want your seagull eating nicotine.
Yeah, it's true. I don't want birds and fish eating that.
So if you...
The seagulls that I hunt, I don't want them. I don't want them eating cigarette butts.
So if you have a cigarette on the beach, throw it in the garbage. Don't throw it in the sand.
Yeah. What are you, an animal? Come on.
What are you?
What are you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So what do we have coming up?
Oh, yeah. Let's do our plugs. We'll talk about Secret Loft. So this Friday, it's not even ocean themed, but there's just 2 comedy shows at Secret Loft. So that's Friday night. This Saturday...
but we will be using recyclable straws.
We'll be using our recyclable straws to benefit the oceans. This Saturday we're off so that we can prepare for next weekend when there's another comedy show and 2 parties on Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Friday night's going to be kind of more Brooklyn-style tech house, dance music. The Saturday is the disco ball, also my birthday party. And it's going to be not just classic disco, but a lot of updated, like, kind of disco funk-infused modern house music. So just super dancey, upbeat, catchy stuff.
And you can wear your finest.
Studio 54 style.
Studio 54.
It's sort of like your mermaid-inspired look. This would fit. You can also be sea captains, very 70s. So
yeah,
we hope to see you there.
Yeah, and we'll be doing
next Saturday
a special episode on the history of disco next week. We actually know what we're doing next week.
Oh yeah. So
you didn't know what we were doing.
No, I forgot. Yeah, we'll do. It's a real microscope. This show we covered about 4.5 billion years of Earth history and water and the oceans, but. Next episode is just going to be covering about an 8-year period from like 72 to 80.
Yeah. We're going to get groovy. Well, we can discuss like the ancient history of disco.
The ancient history. The first
the
disco
Egyptians
was
that were going
in ancient Greece.
There were some of them that were doing like the regular Egyptian thing, and then there was one that was like John Travolting.
I mean, dance has been around. As long as humans have been around,
sharks.
really.
Since the whales were giving us music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Your whales.
So give us a 5-star review and we'll read it. Maybe.
We'll read your review.
We'll read it if it's like really funny.
We'll send it with Cake by the Ocean.
Sharks by the ocean. Actually not. No, sharks in the ocean. We don't want them by the ocean.
No, you can eat cake by the ocean, though. That's a totally biodegradable, natural thing that you can do.
Especially if you eat all of it.
But eat it with seagulls, too.
Eat it with your hands, though. Don't use forks.
Don't leave your plastic forks alone.
You shouldn't use bamboo forks. Get your friend to feed it to you. Now the shark like comes alive and eats us. That's how we end.
It would be a fitting end to the episode. Our animatronic shark.